1963. And once a fascinating president by the name of Abraham Lincoln finally come to the conclusion that he had to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but I wouldn't stop there. I'll even come up to the early 30s and see a man grappling with the problems of the bankruptcy of his nation, and come with an eloquent cry that we have nothing to fear but fear itself. But I wouldn't stop there. Strangely enough, I would turn to the Almighty and say, if you allow me to live just a few years in the second half of the 20th century, I will be happy.
I see one person's here. Thank you for stopping by. We are celebrating this great man who's speaking. You can hear him speaking in the background here.
The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land. Confusion all around. That's a strange statement. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see God working in this period of the 20th century in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world.
Sure is.
The masses of people are rising up.
I'm going to try to wait for more people to get into here, to come on over. Please like, share this video.
New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee. The cry is always the same. We want to be free. Another reason that I'm happy to live in this period is that we have been forced to a point where we're going to have to grapple with the problems that men have been trying to grapple with through history, but the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival.
Hi, Sheena. How you doing? You listening?
Men for years now have been talking about war and peace.
Happy New Year, Sheena.
Now, no longer can they just talk about it. It is no longer a choice between violence and non-violence in this world. It's non-violence or non-existence. That is where we are today. And also in the human rights revolution, if something isn't done and done in a hurry.
I'm good, Sheena. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm just trying to keep my head above water, girl.
Their long years of hurt and neglect, the whole world is doomed. Now, I'm just happy
You
that
welcome.
God has allowed me to live in this period.
I just wanted people to come in
To
and
see
just
what is unfolding.
hear his
And I'm
profound
happy that He's allowed
speeches
me to
with
be
me tonight.
I can remember
We have to continue the dream.
I can remember when Negroes were just going around, as Ralph has said, so often scratching where they didn't itch and laughing when they were not tickled.
I know that's right.
But that day is all over. We mean business we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
I'm glad you're listening.
That's all this whole thing is about. We aren't engaged in any negative protests and in any negative arguments with anybody. We are saying that we are determined to be men. We are determined to be people. We are saying that we are God's children. And if we are God's children, we don't have to live like we are forced to live. Now, what does all of this mean in this great period of history? It means that we've got to stay together. We've got to stay together and maintain unity. You know, whenever Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery in Egypt, he had a favorite formula for doing it. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves.
Now, this man speaking, prophesizing, all of this that's going on today, where we are at, we got to keep the dream alive. We got to continue to affirm our faith. We have to continue to look back, but keep our feet moving forward. For all he was speaking about, that people were forced to live in poverty and to live inhumane, in desert, I would consider it desert ghettos, okay? Deserted. Nothing's growing there, nothing's there, just deteriorating and in poverty. But not only were they living in poverty in material wealth, but they were living in poverty in spirit. Their spirits were drying up and dying and becoming hopeless. Now today, with the dream that we have from this great man, the King, Dr. Martin Luther King, all he died for, all he put himself out there to do to help the betterment of his people. If he was to be here today and to see what we look like today, he would have been like crying. It's sad. Because no matter what you do, there's just some people who's just going to choose to live destructive. No matter what you do, he says we have to stick together. If we want things to work in our favor as God's people, we have to continue to make progress. We have to continue to see things in our community that is wrong, and we have to fight to get it out. Now today, earlier on my video on Facebook, because that's where I usually go to greet my family, my relatives, and my close relatives and friends and everything. Not too many people here from my YouTube page. I try to keep it separate due to the fact that this channel was built on for the R. Kelly supporters. And a lot of people from my family, and of course people that I know, don't really support R. Kelly because they follow what the media put out there and what they actually made him the face of, being a child pedophile and a rapist and all that other stuff. And I don't want to get into two channels fighting and bickering with people, so I just keep it separate. This channel, I can come on here and I can advocate. The other channel, just strictly for my relatives and my friends that are close to me, that I grew up with and everything, that know me, know me, know me. Okay. So anyway, like I said, I went on that Facebook today because of what happened, of the news that this young Dolph brother was murdered. And one of the things, not one of the things, but this has been going on every, like, it seems like it's like every, in the new year, we hear of a murder in the gangster rap community. Okay. And I had to I had to talk about the fact that you, when you bring life into this world, your children, you are to give them guidance and protect them from all the evil, demonic things that are out here in the world. Pray for your children. And when I say pray for your children, prayer also means take action. Hey, Frankie, I'm glad you're here. You got to take some action against these evil things that's getting on your children or getting around your children, these idols, these evil idols. And of course, rap to me is an idol. Some children are influenced by these things. Some kids get addicted to it. They listen to this music, this demonic stuff that they talk about. All you hear is about is violence and guns and disrespect to women, the women disrespecting themselves, all of that stuff. Okay, in that evil demonic world of rap. Okay, so this young man, young Dolph or whatever, now his brother was murdered, and now they talking about, oh, people are saying rest in peace or whatever they saying. I ain't got nothing nice to say. And I'm going to say, I ain't got nothing nice to say, so I ain't going to say nothing at all. But I'm just bringing this right now, this conversation, because I'm listening to Dr. Martin Luther King and the things that this man put his life out there to do for the betterment of his people, and the things that they had to risk doing, getting bit by dogs, water hoses on them, houses getting bombed, going to jail. All these are the things that these people had to endure, okay? And had to risk their lives, their families, their jobs, in order for them to make it to a better place and be treated as any other human being, treated as a human being, I would say. He fought for humanity. He fought for justice against the injustice. This man traveled in all different places of the world with his profound speeches. And he even got the attention of other religious leaders to join him in this fight. And I can't believe that these young people today, this is not being taught to them. And it's not something that, like parents is like, it's the school. But to be honest with you, it's really not the school. I worked in the school. Not only did I work in the school, I work in the early learning centers before they get to school. And the things is that these parents are so busy chasing money that they ain't got time out to watch over what their children are listening to or what their children are doing and upbringing their children and what their children are involved with in their curriculum or with their education. I have sent things, activities, educational activities that children were to do at home. We back in the days called it homework. Today they call it educational activity. For children to go home and try to do what they have learned in the classrooms at home as homework. But parents never took these activities that were in their children's notebooks. Parents would not even look at the notebooks. They bring their kids home and then next probably feed them and just send them to bed or sit them in front of a device or in front of the TV or whatever like that. See, we didn't have all of this stuff to distract us. We had no other choice but to come home and do our homework. There was only one TV probably in the house. In my house, there was only one TV, and that TV was off until a certain time of the evening, and sometimes not even turned on at all throughout the day, especially during school nights. Unless there was an adult there supervising the programs we were watching. Today, these parents be on their cell phones or maybe busy on social media or doing whatever they doing instead of watching their children. They even took off the advertisement on TV that used to come on and said, do you know where your children are? It used to actually ask parents to remind them to check on their children. Do you know where your children are? And there used to be a commercial that used to come on like that. In between commercials, in the evening time or whatever, just to let parents know, your children should be home right now. It's late. They shouldn't be out on the street. And they shouldn't be, any place other than right now in the home. Okay? That used to be something that used to remind an educational program where you know where your children are. They don't even do that no more. They got all this crazy stuff on TV now. And I can't believe that parents actually sit down and watch these reality shows with their kids. With all the cussing and the fighting and the drama and those programs. And let me tell you something. As parents, you are the most powerful people to destroy these things on television that your children are watching. You have the power. Even the curriculums that they want to teach your children in the schools, you have the power to take it out of the school. You even have the power to even bring prayer back into the schools. As parents, somebody posted on Facebook, bring your children to school. If you send your kids to school to be successful, you can send your children to church to be saved. And that makes some sort of sense, but not really. Because I could say like this, if you're not checking on your children in school and you're not involved in your children's education in school, they're not going to be successful. And even if you could send your children to church, send your kids to school and send them to church, and if you're not going to church with them, they're not going to be saved. Because you can't even trust the pulpit these days. With all the pedophilia, the grooming, and everything else that could go on in the church. And you're not there to watch and see who's doing what in the church and to trust your children around certain type of people. To have the sense to know right from wrong and to see certain people and judge and see their kind of characteristics that you ain't going to want your child around that person. Trust your children around that person. Even the pastor. So a lot of things that's been happening to a lot of young children, you can't really truly blame the church and you can't blame the school. Everything starts from its foundation in the home. It comes from the home first. Parents are teachers first, and parents should be their children's Christian role models. Because you could go to church and send your kids too, but if you ain't practicing those characteristics in your home life, because they still going to come out and represent you. You taking your kids to church ain't going to change nothing unless you truly a believer and you actually reading them scriptures and learning them for yourself, and also helping your children along the way how to get there, to build them up in character. You could go to church and come home and got a whole mess going on in your house, cussing out your husband or your spouse, or have some relationship and there's a whole lot of drama going on in your household. You could have people in your house, all kind of people hanging out, partying and drinking and carrying on and doing whatever, and still get up and go to church, and your children still going to show the truth about you, even in the church. Loud and crazy and wild and drunkenness and whatever. That's why you see the mess that you see today on the pulpit. No matter how much education they got to get successful about education or whatever, and they came from these broken homes and they came from this misguided life from their parents. Their parents had them all up and around all kind of madness and craziness, and had certain people around their children, and they followed, and they will they not follow, but they were influenced by this kind of lifestyle. And you could tell when a person was raised up in a household that had some type of in structure. And then you could tell those who came up in a household that was messy. The woman cussing out the man cussing out the woman, going upside her head. She calling the police, he going to jail. Some of them kids, I used to work in some of the inner city child care centers, used to come and tell me, my daddy went to jail last night. I said, oh, really? And believe it or not, being that, I'm in that work, I'm mandated to report child abuse and neglect. And when these people send us the forms to fill out for these children that get help from government funding for their child care, we have to report these things. How did the child come to school? If the child been absent, how many days the child has been absent from the center? Was there any changes in the child behavior, or how was the child? Was the child clean? And it's a whole lot of things they question. Who would be the parent to pick up the child every day? Do the parent always send other people to come pick up the child? Do these people seem, good people or whatever? They be putting all that stuff down there on that application. So I'm just saying, don't think nobody ain't going to see your mess. Because kids tell the truth. So you got to be very careful. And don't be talking about, like I told them today, I said it doesn't matter if you send your kids to Sunday school, but if your house is a mess and your home life is a wreck, it's going to show. Children demonstrate what they learn. That's why you have to be careful how you live your life in front of them. As a parent, as an educator, that goes for me too. I can't come in the classroom acting a mess and, cussing and screaming and carrying on, because them children will go home and tell their parents, oh, the teacher, she said blase, Miss So-and-so said this word and that word, and I can be reported and get fired. Because I have to model a certain type of lifestyle, a certain characteristic in front of these children. So we celebrate in the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm just saying from where we come from. And it's funny that in those days, like Dr. Martin Luther King and his time coming up and everything, Black children and everything, they learned in the school. They had teachers there to instruct them, and they knew better not to act up in school. If they got kicked out, they were out. And the whole town will just shun whoever that person was that was living a certain type of way. The church had rules back then. People just couldn't come to church like they just like a hot mess, talking about God, just come as you are. But the church had rules. No matter how raggedy you was during the week, but when you came up in the house of God, you had your best in front of it as you presented yourself in the church. If you partied all night and you was a drinking hussy and whatever you was, but when you came up in that house of God, you had to get yourself together. There was no way you was going to come to church with your showing your or looking a hot mess. You had to put your best before the Lord. Just like if you go to your job and your job have certain rules that you should dress a certain way and you come to work, it's the same way it's supposed to go for the church. And the church need to get back in order and stop trying to compromise so much with the world. The place in the church is to fix you up. And they say, well, come as you are. Well, come as you are broken, maybe in your spirit, but not come as you are with a dirty, looking like you just came from the club. That wasn't tolerated back then. And they would not even allow a young girl who's not married to be on anything in the ministry. She could come to church, but she could not take any position in any of the ministry of the church. Today, they got single mothers sitting up there in the ministry as pastors and all of this other stuff. And I said, this ain't right, because that's not a good influence on other young women. God said that in his word too. People want to use the story of Joseph and Mary. Mary wasn't married when she got married, but Mary and Joseph were married. She was engaged to Joseph and they was going to get married. She was engaged to be married. And he took her as his wife. And he married her. And they raised their family together. Marriage is a very important thing to the church. And that life should be modeled in the community of God's people. And no young girl out of wedlock should be on any ministry in the church. And I have a so-called, and I already went through it with her, okay? A childhood friend of mine who now supposedly be in ministry, and she's a pastor. I was like, oh, really? I said, you must be. I said, I don't know who told. She said, but she tried to add something to the Bible or whatever to make her to get, to justify that she's a pastor. I was like, no, that ain't gonna work with me. God didn't tell me that. I don't get that from what I read. It's very clear that no woman was called to be the head of the church. Not saying women can't prophesize and evangelize, but no woman can be a head of a church. That's why I will never step foot in no church like where Juanita Bynum, Paula White, any of those women preaching. It says it, God said it, it's his word, and it's his word. Okay? Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing differently. It's okay for a woman to teach other women. If she's married, of course she will have to confirm that, of course, with her husband. Okay? And I'm just telling you where I read it. And when you listen to the Dr. King's speech, there's sometimes he didn't even want his wife to be out there in the march with him because he had small children at home. So her place to follow his life was to make sure she stayed home to take care of them babies. Made sure she was home to take care of those children. And that was for every man that led his ministry. He didn't put his wife in the front line with him. But there's times that Coretta did come out to support him. And the children stayed with their grandparents. But he didn't want his wife out there or anybody's wife out there. He called for the men to be out there. The men. There was no elders supposed to be out there and no young children. People said, oh, he put them kids out there. No, he did not put no kids out there. Those young students came on their own to support the movement.
You know,
and they took his mug shot and put it up here. See, I would put it to the camera, but they'll cut my video if I do.
The period of slavery in Egypt, he had a favorite formula for doing. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves.
He's talking about Pharaoh, how he kept the slaves fighting among each other.
But whenever the slaves get together, something happens in Pharaoh's court, and he cannot hold the slaves in.
No, they don't have prayer in the school, Frankie.
Get together, that's the beginning of getting out of slavery.
But they trying to, get it back in the schools.
Now let us maintain unity. Secondly, let us keep the issues where they are. The issue is injustice. The issue is the refusal of Memphis to be fair and honest in its dealings with its public servants who happen to be sanitation workers. Now we've got to keep attention on that. That's always the problem with a little violence. You know what happened the other day, and the press dealt only with the window breaking. I read the article. They very seldom got around to mentioning the fact that 1,300 sanitation workers are on strike, and that Memphis is not being fair to them, and that Mayor Loeb is in dire need of a doctor. They didn't get around to that.
I have to use my fan, y'all.
Now we're going to march again, and we've got to march again in order to put the issue where it is supposed to be. And force everybody to see the vow of 1,300 of God's children here suffering.
And what I loved about Martin Luther King's march, you see nothing but men in the front, in the battle. It wasn't no women in the front of this fight. And even when it was Jesus, when he was they had his movement against the wicked government and religious people that were rulers over the people and was teaching the people like these false prophets you got today in the pulpit. That's misleading the church. These antichrists, you go in the book of Titus, you'll find it. That God kept me out of that place. God said, don't you go. God said, no. I ain't got no babies. My ministry is with the babies where I work at. My ministry ain't in there. I do my ministry right out here for the Lord, okay? But I'm just saying that if you look, it was all men in that fight against the injustice that was being done back 61 years ago. This is 61 years ago. Last year we celebrated his 60th year. This year is the 61 years since his death.
Going through dark and dreary nights, wondering how this thing is going people get caught up with that which is right, and they are willing to sacrifice for it, there is no stopping point short of victory.
You see Bernie Sanders and all of them in there.
We are masters in our nonviolent movement in disarming police forces. They don't know what to do. I've seen them so often. I remember in Birmingham, Alabama.
See, I'm sorry. I would like to bring the camera, my phone, to the so you can watch this, but YouTube will cut my video because I'm not able to do that. I don't have the copyright claims.
And they did come. But we just went before the dogs singing, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. Gonna let nobody turn me around. Gonna keep on walking. Keep on talking. Till I reach the promised land. I used to love, songs that was able to get them to be able to be brave enough to go and continue this fight against the injustice that was being done to Black and even some whites, whether they knew it or not. They was in that too. They were being oppressed as well. They just couldn't see it. They felt they were more privileged, but they put those poor, ignorant, uneducated white people out there to do their dirty work. They used them. They were being used. That's what he was saying, how, he used his strategy. Pharaoh, when he had the Hebrews in bondage, like he had put some in a certain job holding position to keep them against their own people. And that's what Dr. Martin Luther King was saying. To keep them against their own people. They were just they was in bondage too. But they just didn't know it because they felt they were better because they were put in a higher, they was put in the taskmaster. They was the taskmaster. The low income, poverty, whatever, they gave them that title and they felt like, hey, Pharaoh loves me. He gave me he's good to our people, whatever, but still in all, he ain't like your ass either. You was a Jew. A Jew was a Jew. Okay? A Hebrew was a Hebrew. But he had to use you. So you could be able to keep the others in line and y'all could fight against each other. The same way that the slaves were. They put the house niggas and the field niggas. You both were slaves. They ain't like your ass either. You wasn't no better than what the rest of them was. Because, hey, if you stepped out of line with something, your ass was going on the field and you was going to get your ass whipped too. It is what it is. It just had to put you in a position so that they can have you do the dirty work for them. You could be their eyes and their ears. And just like they used the white KKK, the poor white trash, to commit all the crimes and do all the wicked, evil things to the Black people that were out there marching with the dogs and all this other stuff. They didn't like your ass either. So the fight was all against the inhumanity. It was all, everybody was in it together. And that's why his thing was, men should not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of your character. Whether you was Black, white, Jew, Protestant, Catholic, whatever, if your character is fucked up, you just a fucked up person, no matter what religion you were. But if you had a good heart, a human heart, and you was about humanity and you had a good character and everything, then you was a part of on the righteous side. You know, because when you come into this fight as a righteous fighter, you can't be in it with color. You cannot. You cannot look at people's color, because then you ain't really fighting for the Lord. Because God said, I made man in my image, meaning in good character. That's how you show God, in your character. And that's what he said, only the righteous shall see God. Only the righteous, listen to what I'm saying, shall see God. Meaning that your heart got to be right. Your heart just got to be clean. And where the Holy Spirit lives is in a clean heart. You can't have no dirty heart. Say, well, he did this, that, and the other, so I don't like him. But I like so-and-so. Sin is sin. Man is man. Dirt is dirt. Wrong is wrong. Point blank period. No matter who did it. Whether you like him or him, you dislike him. Now, I look at it like this. For instance, a lot of people didn't like the fact that I said, with Puffy and R. Kelly. I got to see them both being treated wrong. Both. Because these women came for a bag. And they were willing to do anything to get it. Like with R. Kelly, he's innocent and so is Puffy. You know what you signed up for. Don't try to call a victim now when you know you got in it for the reason you got in it for. And that's another story. So I stayed away from that conversation with P. Diddy. And people say, well, I think P. Diddy did it. I think P. Diddy did it. I can't really say that. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. And I know he was called out years ago, just like R. Kelly. They said he was in the tape with the girl. And it's just a whole lot of stuff. But I got to see them both equally as innocent. Because I know there's people out there that don't have a dislike for these men. And they want to destroy them. They want to destroy their character in the public. I'm just saying, you gotta have a righteous heart. You just gotta have a righteous heart. I wasn't a P. Diddy fan. I didn't rock with P. Diddy. Music like that. Not like the way I rock with R. Kelly, because I like R. Kelly more, because I more was an R. Kelly girl. But P. Diddy, I never really rock with his music, but I'm not going to sit up and join the bandwagon and judge him. I'm not. Just because I didn't rock with his music, I'm not going to judge him. Only the righteous shall see God. Can't say you a God, Christian, loving person and you out here throwing stones and living in glass houses, and then on top of that, you looking in the mirror, seeing a reflection, looking in the mirror and looking out of windows is totally different things. Looking out of windows is seeing other people, but not seeing yourself. But looking in the mirror, you can see yourself. You can see your reflection. But looking in out of windows, so y'all looking out of windows, not a mirror. Because if you see your reflection, That's deep. Anyway, y'all, we're gonna move on because it's getting late. I just had a dinner party at my house. Everybody, my guests left. That's why I had to keep setting the time because it was set to 5 o'clock. They got here a little late, and it was for I gave my nephew his birthday dinner. I made lasagna, spinach lasagna, and we had drinks and all that other good stuff. My husband had to go to work. Okay, so he couldn't wait around for them. Okay, so we set it up 5 o'clock or whatever. I put his lasagna, to the side and everything. I put all his food to the side or whatever. But it was good. The cake, I never got a chance to cut the cake on the simple fact that my nephew claimed that he doesn't eat sweets anymore. I had brought some cake and I had brought some ice cream for him, but we did not get a chance. So I put the cake back in the refrigerator. So I said I will go to work tomorrow because I know there's 2 birthdays this week, which is my supervisor birthday and it's also one of the little kids in my classroom. It's his birthday. So the cake will be used for his birthday. It's still good. I just got the cake today. Okay, it hasn't been touched or nothing. I just brought the cake today. It's buttercream, whatever. But I'll take the cake and I'll just, use it for that occasion. All right. So we was just celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King, what he stood for, celebrating this great man. And I think that everybody should be having a conversation about what they got from Dr. Martin Luther King, what he has done for them, how he has impacted their lives, how he also put his life out there on the battlefield, and should we still continue to be doing certain things that we've been doing out here, like this rap music and everything? It has to be thrown in the trash. Keep it out of your homes. Keep it away from your children. It's evil. It's demonic. Because look at what the outcome of it is. These young men are losing their lives, like, in numbers, in droves. Okay. So young men and women. Rap music it doesn't really have any real good meaning. It's not a positive message that it transcends. So you just got to be careful what your children are listening to. Keep it out your cars. Don't listen to that music around your children in your car. Don't let your children play it in your home. If they come and you say, in this house we serve the Lord, and you will not be playing that garbage in my home. Whether they get mad at you or not, if they get mad at you or whatever, then hey, it's your home. It's your home. You rule your household or whatever. And I'm just saying, like I just said in this thing, you got young children around, be careful about what you do around your children. And be careful about the music you allow your children to listen to. I told everybody I got away from the hip hop world a long time ago because I said, look, the music was getting too evil, too dark, and disgusting, and it had no meaning, no message. When I was listening to it, it was fun. We had a good time with it. Our parents enjoyed it with us. I'm talking about going back in the days with, a Will Smith and, Jazzy J or whatever. I'm going back in those days. The music was fun. Queen Latifah, when they were young, and they had a message. Public Enemy, all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden it became gangsta. And now that it became gangsta, all you hear, these young people, they not even living long. They dying. Young. I can't believe how many funerals I've seen of young people in a casket as I'm on YouTube, and they showing the funeral of they loved ones, these young women leaving small children behind. It's just sad. So, there needs to be some balance, and it starts at home, and then we can work in the churches as well. You got to be careful with who you listening to from the pulpit. I don't want to hear a sermon no more about no pastor dogging another pastor, talking about another pastor, what he doing up in his house. You need to worry about what's going on in your own house, in your own church, and get your church in order. And stop worrying about what that man doing over in his church. And it's just too many pastors preaching like that today. Let me outdo the next pastor. It's not even about that. It's about Jesus. And it should be about Jesus. It's about taking care of your household, taking care of the house that God has put you in leadership of as a shepherd over his people. You shouldn't be having that kind of conversation on the pulpit. It's disgusting. When Martin Luther King got up there to talk about what was going on when he preached, he stayed on what was ahead of the movement to empower his people. He didn't talk about the other churches that was going on. He was being attacked by other ministries and everything else like that. Like, oh, King need to shut up. Like I told you earlier about the woman who stabbed him because they told her they was gonna cut her welfare check off. So she had to go get a knife and go tell Martin Luther King, stop talking about all this stuff about us fighting for equal rights and this, that, and the other. Leave that alone. You messing it up for me. My welfare check about to be cut off. They put the fear in the people. It's just a shame the way when you're trying to do right and here comes the devil. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to reach everybody, but you're going to reach some. And then it could get around and spread, and we can live in a better world. We could bring some, I'm not saying perfect, but there should be some balance because it's really out of control what good is. More evil in this world now than good. For real, for real. I had a little game too. My sister had brought here to me. It's called Crime or No Crime. And I want to play this game with y'all for a little while, but we can play it a little later, a later time. And we can play this game at a later date. But I'm going to play 2 cards with y'all, and then I'm going to get out of here because I'm tired, y'all. I've had a long day. But this game is called Crime and No Crime. She got this game, I think a friend of hers who's an attorney or something like that, who gave her this game. She had 4 of them. She brought 4 of them. And I'm going to pull out some cards and I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to put it in, those of you who are still here with me, I want you to put in the chat, if it's a crime, you put 1. If it's not a crime, you put 2. Okay? If it's a crime, if the answer is a crime, you put 1. If the answer is not a crime, you put 2. We're going to try to play this. Okay? I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see what this is. No. No. Okay? So, you see it, Frankie? Frankie, do you see it? You see the poll? Okay. The first card I'm going to read, it says this. Using your child information to obtain credit. Is that a crime or is not a crime? Using your child's information to obtain credit. Is it a crime or is not a crime? Put 1 for crime and 2 for no crime. Oh, it's not, you don't see it? Let me see something. Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? Oh. Oh, you know what? Oh. Oh, you know what? Oh. You don't see it? Okay. Okay, this is what I'm going to type. You see what I just typed there? When I read the card, you put 1 in the chat. You put 1 in the chat if it's a crime. If it's not a crime, I see it now. See, you see it now, right? So when I read the card, now you can only hit, it's a poll, so you're going to only be able to vote 1 time. Okay, thank you. I see the poll. It says one vote. Okay, so you hit 1. Yes, it is a crime to do that with your children's credit. It says using your child's information to obtain credit is a crime. The reason it's a crime because it's bank fraud and it's identity theft. Okay. The next one I'm going to read. Providing sex for drugs. Is that a crime or is not a crime? Providing sex. You could write it in the chat. Providing sex for drugs. Is that a crime or is not a crime? If you just came into the chat, please participate in this card game. This is fun, y'all. Okay. Providing sex for drugs, is that a crime or not a crime? Either hit 1 if it's a crime or 2 if it's not a crime. If you hit 1, it is a crime. Yep, it is a crime. It's prostitution. In many states, compensation of any kind, compensation of any kind for sex can be charged as prostitution. Okay. Okay, the next one is locking your 21-year-old in the basement to prevent him from leaving after you overhear him telling friends he is about to go and smoke the person who vandalized his new car. Is that a crime? To lock a 21-year-old in the basement if you overhear your 21-year-old saying he's going out to smoke somebody who vandalized his car? Is it a crime or is not a crime? Locking your 21-year-old in the basement if they want to go out and smoke somebody for vandalizing their car. Is it a crime or not a crime? Hit 1 if it's a crime, 2 if it's not a crime. Dun, 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 dun. You said 2? Okay. The answer is it's a crime to lock your 21-year-old in the basement. It says that's called false imprisonment and unlawful restraint. Wow. When you want to prevent your child from hurting somebody and committing a crime, you committing a crime by locking them up in the basement. The law is tricky, y'all. The law is tricky. Here's another one. Killing your daughter's boyfriend when you catch her sneaking him into her bedroom window after you told him to stay away from your house. Is it a crime or is not a crime? 1 in the chat if it's a crime, 2 if it's not a crime. And no, not why. Either put 1 or 2, Frankie. Killing your daughter's boyfriend when you catch her sneaking him into her bedroom window after you told him to stay away from your house. Is it a crime to kill your daughter's boyfriend for sneaking him in and you told him to stay away from the house? Or it's not a crime? Hit 2 if it's a crime or not a crime. Hit 1 if it's a crime. Hit 2 if it's not a 1. All right. Yes, it is a crime. The crime is murder. Okay? The facts suggest the father knew it was the daughter's boyfriend. Absent a showing that he feared for his family's safety, it is doubtful the killing will be deemed justified. Okay? It is a crime and it's murder. But the facts suggest the father knew, the facts that it suggests that the father did know it was the daughter's boyfriend. Absent a showing that he feared his family's safety, it is doubtful the killing will be deemed justified. Meaning that it's not going to be justified for him to kill his daughter's boyfriend because he came in and she snuck him in. It's not deeming that because of the fact that he knew it was the daughter's boyfriend. It wasn't like his family was in any danger or any kind of, situation of not being safe. She snuck him in. Okay? Now, yeah, you did say 1. You was right. The other one is prohibiting a police officer from questioning your minor child. Prohibiting a police officer from questioning your minor child. Is it a crime for you to prohibit a police officer from questioning your minor child, or is not a crime? Hit 1 in the chat if it's a crime, and hit 2 if it's not a crime. 1. Let's see. It's not a crime. It's not a crime. It says parents can't evoke their minor child's right to counsel. She can say she's got to get him a lawyer. He got to speak to his lawyer. You cannot question a minor, and the parent can invoke it. A parent can't invoke. That's a crime. It's not a crime for a parent to prohibit a police officer from questioning a minor child. It says, okay, refusing to stop recording officers at a riot when they tell you to turn off your recorder. Refusing to stop recording officers at a riot when they tell you to turn off your recorder. Is it a crime or is not a crime? Put 1 in the chat if it's a crime. Put 2 if it's not a crime. The law could be tricky. This game is so much fun. I gotta have people over to play this game. I said I would try it on YouTube tonight, even though I was supposed to be talking about the dream. Let's keep the dream alive. See, I don't want to put too much salt on it because I just wanted to introduce that it's Martin Luther King's birthday. We are going to be celebrating him today, tomorrow, and probably for the rest of for Black History as well, for the next month in Black History. So I want to say some things. I want to do more with him because he did so many other speeches. You put 2, Frankie? Okay, let's see. It's not a crime. It says it is legal to record police officers on public property. It is legal to record a police officer doing something. Even if he tells you to turn off your camera, you still can record. You have that right. Now, moving on. The next one. Letting students 14 and over use credit cards to make a cigarette purchase online. Is it a crime or is not a crime? That one is easy. That one is so easy. And then this game can also help us take our mind. You know, we learning a lot about the law. And when I told y'all, we're going to get deeper, y'all, because of what we're dealing with right there. Look, I got all these cards. A lot to learn about the law. Look at all these cards. And then I got some. So y'all know about them phone calls. This game will teach us. I'm going to put the timer on. I didn't put the timer on while I was asking y'all in the chat. This is so much fun. Okay. Yep, you're right, Frankie. It says, selling tobacco to a minor, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, child endangerment. It is illegal to sell a cigarette to any person under the age of 18 years of age. So you got it right, girl. I'm going to read one more and then we're going to get up on out of here. Okay, let me get one for you. Okay, this one should be a tricky one. I need to put a tricky one here. Okay, crime or no crime, okay? Someone out of their vehicle to use it to choose to chase someone who just kidnapped your child. Pulling someone out of their vehicle to use it to chase someone who just kidnapped your child. Is it a crime or is not a crime? Put 1 in the chat if it's a crime and put 2 if it's not a crime. Ding, 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 ding. I'm having fun with this game. Ding, ding. I'm sorry I have to stop because I got to get ready for work tomorrow. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Okay. It is a crime, okay? To pull someone out of their vehicle, to chase someone who had just kidnapped your child is be called carjacking. It says theft of a motor vehicle, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. It's an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. It's called carjacking. So with that being said, I'm gonna get up on out of here. But you know what? I'm gonna go through these cards. And we're going to do some stuff about what's been going on YouTube to find out if it's a crime or it's not a crime. So stay tuned for our next card game and the ending of the Casey McDaniel topic. Okay, we're going to play this game. We're going to become some real people that is going to know the Lord. We're going to learn this law, okay? So anyway, y'all, I got to go. I got to get ready for work tomorrow. I didn't want to stay too late. And like I said, I had guests over for dinner tonight. I wanted to talk a little about the dream of Dr. Martin. I wanted to do more, but I couldn't do more because, like I said, my day, got crunched. But I did put in some sprinkles of there about Dr. Martin Luther King, this man, this great leader, this great pioneer, this great fighter, and the things he's done to help the better of humankind. The betterment of humankind. His brave, courageous, charismatic, everything, his strength, all of that. He was moving with God in his heart and with the love of the Lord and what he wanted to do to help God's people. And I just wanted to just celebrate him today. We're probably going to celebrate him again tomorrow. So stay tuned. And we are going to continue to play the game, crime or no crime. Crime or no crime. We're going to continue to play this card game. It is so much fun. And prayerfully and hopefully more people will join us tomorrow. They might be somewhere else listening to something crazy. Okay, so I'm going to let y'all go. It's getting late. And I had a great time here with y'all. And if God's willing, I'll be back again tomorrow. But I know I have something coming up. I have to do these professional development. So you'll see me pop in here every now and then. School is in session. School is in session, y'all. So I got to do a lot of work, homework, and, things of that nature. So studying and papers and things of that. Because this is what I choose to do. Education is a prolonged thing. It doesn't end. It does not stop. Yeah, I like it too, right, Frankie? It's gonna be fun. I'm praying and hoping that more people will come in. You know what? I'm gonna put that in the video. The next time I'm say come and play crime or no crime on the Casey McDaniel channel. So while we waiting and we're gonna be learning some things about the law. In the meanwhile, we all gonna learn together. And we're gonna have some fun. Okay, so you all have a blessed and one. And thank you, Frankie, again. Thank you so much for your participation with me. Thank you for mourning for me tonight and hanging in there with me tonight. And I hope everything goes well with your voice. I hope, things are getting better. Are things getting better? Before I shut down, let me ask you, are things getting better? I'll wait. Okay, it's getting better a little bit, but you're taking some medication. Yes, keep treating it. As much as I hate to get off of here, because look, my eyes are really, really tired, y'all. Look how red they are. They tired. Because I was up early this morning. Okay, of course, I watched me a programmed ministry, whatever. I started my cooking. There's no more tree in the house. I took down all the holiday things in the house. Only thing still here is my poinsettias. Only thing that's there is the poinsettias at the fireplace, but those things gonna be there forever. And that's it. And of course, the dining area is still kind of like, Christmases. The colors, the curtains and everything. Yeah, I could see. And the colors and everything like that. But I had a wonderful day. I had a very long day today, y'all. I wish I could have talked more about this great man, Dr. Martin Luther King. I love talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. I just love all his speeches. But the thing is that with him, I gotta go. It's so much to talk about with him. You know, there's so much is in there. Is in there. You see it. What's in there? Yeah, there was a lot of things I wanted to talk while I'm waiting for Frankie's response. There was a whole lot of things that I wanted to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King and his speech and everything. That speech was one of the speeches he gave right before his untimely death in Memphis. Okay, and he was talking about how the garbage men went on strike because there was two garbage men, black garbage men. It was raining, pouring. Oh, you was having fun. Oh, I know, Frankie. I was too. Um, it was two garbage men in Memphis that went inside of a garbage truck because they had to try to shelter themselves from a really bad rainstorm. And what happened is that the thing was hit electrical. The thing that takes the trash. The I forgot what they call that thing on the garbage can when it takes the trash and you put the trash in there and it mashes it down or whatever like that before they take it out to some landfill. But they went there to shelter themselves and they were killed in that garbage truck. They died in that garbage truck because they was hit and they had to shelter themselves, so they was squished to death or whatever like that. And that was really, it was really a sad happening, tragic thing because did I get what you sent me over here online? You sent me something online? Oh, wait a minute. Let me check. Yeah, I got it, Frankie. Thank you. And think of Martin Luther King. Yes, I did get it. And guess what? I wanted to post it. And I think I posted it on my Facebook page. Yeah, something that your sister had sent you and you sent it to me. And I thought that was nice. Yeah, so that speech I wanted to that because that was his last. It was like towards one of his last speeches before his untimely death, because he was ready to do his march in Memphis. And that's where he ended up dying, in Memphis at that hotel, when he was gunned down and shot by James Earl Ray, I think it was. Was it James Earl Ray? Or something like that, that shot Martin Luther King Jr. Then they trying to say it wasn't him. I don't know. But it's just so much that we just don't know. But we know he died. We know he was murdered. And some more stuff that has happened after his murder, and his family sued the government or whatever like that, and somebody said that all they got was $1. I don't know if that's true or not, but and his sister and his and his children, they're going to be talking at a lot of places as well. I know one of his daughters just passed away. One of his daughters died. She used to be a member at that church out in Atlanta. She was a member of okay. It's probably on this phone, that right here, Frankie, while I'm on live. The text that you sent is probably on this phone, the one that I'm doing the live on. Yeah, his daughter. One of his daughters died. I forgot her name. I think it was Bernice. I'm not sure, but I gotta look it up. I know one of them passed away. Um, and I remember she preached at her mother's funeral, and the funeral was held at Eddie Long's church, of all churches. But before the scandal hit with Eddie Long, that happened before the scandal. Yeah, that happened before the scandal. So, anyway, there's so much more I want to talk about. But they try to put all kind of dirt and scandal on this man. Even when he died, they still trying to dig up lies and dirt and whatever. But I'm still going to celebrate him. I still find him to be a charismatic person, and I still found him to be. I admired him so much. I admired Dr. Martin Luther King from even hearing stories about him from a little girl. I swear to you not. Even from the time I was a little girl and I was in school, and they used to be talking about the I Have a Dream and the Dr. Martin Luther King, and watching some of the movies and some documents about him and stuff, I was always infatuated. Yeah, I was from a child, from Dr. Martin Luther King. And if he was alive today and he had a ministry, I probably would be following him. I like to follow people like that. It interests me. Anyway, I gotta go. God bless you. I love you. And you all have a good night rest. Until we meet again, be safe. Peace.